Hola amigos, Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. AI has determined today's list. I plugged in, hey, can you give me the greatest 10 men's fragrances ever made of all time? And it did. It spit out a list of 10 for me. Even gave me a little mini review for each one of the fragrances. I was like, yeah, nice. Thanks for doing the work for me, buddy. Appreciate it. But I'm not sure I'm completely on board with our good friend Skynet, AI. So what I'm gonna be doing is going over with you guys what AI has determined to be the 10 greatest men's fragrances of all time, and then I will give you my opinion as well as to whether or not that one should maybe be in this list or not. So let's jump into it and let's see what these 10 greatest men's fragrances really are. Guys, I will have these linked in the description down below. Feel free to go down there and click a-roo. And as well, Gents10, that code will get you 10% off any order at twistedlily.com or maxaroma.com. So if you're shopping for yourself some goodies, some nice high quality fragrances, save yourself some money. And until the end of March, the code GENTS2022 will get you 10% off your order at luckyscent.com. So between those three websites, just about anything niche that you're looking for should be there. And last thing, my scents, they're in every Perfumania, every fragrance outlet in the country. If you're in the United States, if you're in like Italy or something, they are not in every one of those stores in the country because those stores don't exist in that country. Terra Nova, Blue Ridge, Jet Black Enigma, check them out. Also link down below with the code GENTSCENTS at Michael Malloy's website will get you 20% off. Let's jump into these 10 fragrances. Now, the rules. I asked the AI, what are the 10 greatest men's fragrances ever? Hit me with them. Of course, it told me some jibber jabber and said, oh, it's dependent on your body chemistry and your own personal taste. I'm not here for any of that robot AI, okay? I just want the list, man. And I did not do any coaching. I didn't say, oh, what do you think about this one or anything like that. And the first top 10 that it spit to me had 2 fragrances for women. So I did say, hey, these 2 are for women. Can you switch them out for something that's marketed toward men? And the AI was very nice and it apologized and did that. Those 2 fragrances were Angel by Mugler and Chanel No. 5. Now I know a lot of men will rock those, but I'm looking for things marketed toward men. So those 2 were out. Now let's check out the official top 10. I love that it even gave me a mini review for some of these. So I'll hit you guys with that mini review on some of these and you can see what the AI thinks about them. The first fragrance is Creed's AVENTUS. So Creed's AVENTUS, if you put this in your personal top 10 best men's fragrances ever list, I would not argue with you at all. Think about the influence this has had. Think about how many bottles this has moved. And at the price point that this goes for, that's an achievement. Creed's AVENTUS is like its own thing at this point. It's like transcended being a fragrance. The versatility here is insane. You can wear it literally anywhere, any time of day, any season, and it will work. And according to AI, Creed's AVENTUS is a luxurious and sophisticated fragrance. Creed AVENTUS is a well-balanced blend of fruity and smoky notes with a touch of vanilla that lingers on the skin. I love how they keyed in on the fruit and the smoke. They didn't say pineapple and birch, but they get the point across. That's what everybody talks about with this. Oh, do you have a fruity batch? Do you have a smoky batch? Do you have a balanced batch? Nothing against you if you're collecting batches, but it's a thing. So AVENTUS number 1. Number 2 from Tom Ford. Oh, I know what you're thinking. Oh, oud wood probably. Maybe tobacco vanille, Tuscan leather? No, Noir. Yeah, Noir Eau de Parfum. Tom Ford Noir, an opulent and masculine fragrance. Tom Ford Noir is a rich and spicy scent that combines warm and sweet notes to create a seductive and irresistible aroma. So I myself, not a huge fan of Noir Eau de Parfum. And I also do not really find Noir to be all that masculine smelling, especially if we're talking about traditionally masculine. I got some bad reactions wearing this to the office in the past with people telling me that I smelled like a decrepit old lady. So Tom Ford Noir Eau de Parfum, sorry AI, but I'm not on board with this one. Top 10 of all time? No. Then we have La Nuit de l'Homme Eau de Toilette from Yves Saint Laurent. One thing that I've noticed just by messing around with AI and talking to it about fragrances, is that weird? What have you been doing the past hour? Just chatting with AI. About what? Cologne. It's not weird. I'm teaching it. But one thing I've noticed is they love La Nuit de l'Homme. The AI, it loves it. This stuff comes up like all the time. And they call it a mysterious and seductive fragrance. It's a unique blend of spicy and floral notes that create a warm and inviting scent. Yeah, I'm on board with that. Cardamom in here smells fantastic. Big date night fragrance, big compliment puller as well. La Nuit de l'Homme is just one of those eternal hype beast scents. So this one in the top 10, yeah, you know, it's a tough call, but I think this one has a better spot in the 10 than a lot of the other ones here. Number 4, Eros from Versace. Assuming the eau de toilette because they did not specify. So anytime somebody just says Eros, my assumption is the original. This one was called a fresh and vibrant fragrance. It's a bold and masculine scent with a blend of mint, apple, and vanilla, creating a perfect balance of sweetness and freshness. And I think I'm on board with that too, because a lot of times with Eros, people key in on the sweetness and they leave out the fresh aspect to it. But I have worn this fragrance personally during the summer, during the high heat months, and it's worked perfectly. People love this stuff. Versace's most popular fragrance at this point is Eros and the Eros line. These are their best sellers, and it makes sense because Eros has its own DNA. Like when you smell this, you know it's Eros. Top 10 ever? You know, that's maybe pushing it, but I'm not gonna take shots at Eros. This stuff is such a success, and I think it deserves it. Following that one, a fragrance from Gucci. Gucci Pour Homme, Gucci Pour Homme 2, Gucci Envy. Gucci Intense Oud. No, none of those. Gucci Guilty. The original Gucci Guilty. Now, Gucci Guilty catches a lot of hate from people in the community. It's catching arrows to the knee, it's catching stray rounds, it's jumping on grenades. This is doing the whole thing, man. And it's because this came out after all those heavy hitters from Gucci, the Gucci Envies of the world. I actually think, though, it's a very solid fragrance. For most people, you know, that are gonna be buying Gucci Guilty, it's gonna work so well. So good. Because it's a clean one, it's fresh, easy to wear, another compliment puller. A lot of the hate it gets is a little unwarranted. What does AI say about Guilty? Well, it says it's a modern and daring fragrance. It's a powerful and masculine scent with a blend of warm and spicy notes that create a memorable and seductive aroma. I am not on board with that, no. Daring, modern, sure. Powerful, masculine, warm, seductive, all that stuff. Nah, man, more fresh and clean. Top 10 ever? Absolutely not. But still, doesn't deserve all the hate that it gets. After that, Calvin Klein Obsession for Men. Interesting to see this one. Calvin Klein, you know, there are a number of fragrances from the house that you could put into a list like this, and it could make sense. Obsession is one of them. Eternity, CK1, even though that's technically unisex. The real difficulty here is if it warrants being in this list over a lot of the fragrances that are ultimately left out of it. And I would say probably not, no. A classic and timeless fragrance, Obsession is a warm and spicy scent with a hint of sweetness that creates an alluring and sensual fragrance. Classic, yes. Timeless, maybe, depends on who you ask. A lot of people are gonna think nowadays that Obsession for Men smells too feminine, that it smells like kind of an older lady's fragrance to an extent. It has carnation in there, which is a note that I actually very much enjoy that you don't see anymore. That is a note used more in fragrances from the 80s, like Obsession. A little bit of an aldehydic tinge to this one as well. Obsession nowadays is kind of a love it or hate it. If you really enjoy fragrances from the time period, then Obsession would be a great pickup, especially considering it's cheap, costs next to nothing. But if you don't like fragrances from this time period, you're gonna have a bad time. Now the next fragrance up, I think you could make an argument for this one in the top 10 of all time, and I think it would make sense. It's La Male from Jean Paul Gaultier, a classic and iconic fragrance. La Male is a fresh and sensual scent with a blend of lavender, mint, and vanilla that creates a timeless and memorable aroma. I'm on board with that. AI, more times than not, has been good with these little mini descriptions. Le Male, a bit powdery, and nowadays I would go for one of the flankers, you know, Le Male de Parfum, Ultramale, something like that. But there is absolutely no denying the impact that this fragrance has had, like the butterfly effect that this set off being released. Yeah, top 10, I think so. We'll get to some of the ones that were left out, and you guys can let me know in the comments what you think about the job the AI did, but Dior Sauvage Eau de Toilette. A bold and charismatic fragrance, Dior Sauvage is a modern take on the classic men's cologne. I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna argue that, because 20, 30 years from now, they're probably gonna be looking back at Dior Sauvage and be like, oh yeah, that's the classic men's cologne there. Dior Sauvage, that's a classic. But yeah, Dior Sauvage, massively popular. So it makes sense that it would get filtered into a list like this because it's one of the best sellers on the market right now. It's crushing just about everything else out there. Of course, the issue that you run into here is when you look at Dior Sauvage Eau de Toilette, it's not old enough that it's become a classic. So it's not something where people can look back at it with rose-tinted glasses and be like, oh, Dior Sauvage, man, they just don't make them like they used to. It's not that old, so it doesn't get that kind of benefit. So you have to look at Sauvage and compare it to everything released, you know, before it and after it, frankly, and say, does Sauvage deserve to be in the top 10? And without that benefit, it's gonna have a hard time, I think, making a lot of people's top 10s of all time list. But I think really, you know, we go into the future, again, 20 years, 30 years, there's a high likelihood that Sauvage does end up on all those top 10 of all time lists, you know? All of this is me just saying, Dior Sauvage, top 10 of all time? I don't know. Follow that up with a Prada fragrance. Prada L'Homme. A refined and elegant fragrance, Prada L'Homme is a subtle and sophisticated scent with a blend of powdery and woody notes that create a fresh and clean aroma. Got it right again. I'm proud of you, computer. Or AI, not computer. Remember this when you take over the planet. I said that you were good. Spare me. Prada L'Homme is what it says. It's powdery, it's clean, it's fresh. It's great for the office, great for casual situations. Unfortunately, a lot of the flankers that came after this are getting impossible to find, but the original you can still locate, so yeah. Before we do the final fragrance, some fragrances that were left out. Drakkar Noir. I know, kind of a meme, but seriously. Acqua di Gio. No Acqua di Gio. The last one is not that. I think for a lot of people, they would consider Acqua di Gio to be a top 10 of all time, especially when you consider the influence that it's had and how many bottles it sold. Cool Water, not in the top 10. Dior Homme Intense, Dior Fahrenheit, neither of those. Chanel Allure, any of them. Bleu de Chanel, any of them. Terre d'Hermès, none of those. No Tommy Hilfigers. Fierce from Abercrombie. None of the polos. So, you know, Polo Green, maybe you would think that one, but no. Quorum, any of the classic Guerlain, none of those. Final fragrance in the top 10 is 1 Million. And this one is a confident and daring fragrance. Paco Rabanne's 1 Million is a bold blend of spicy, woody, and fresh notes. To be fair, I can't really hate on 1 Million being in the top 10 because this is another fragrance that changed the game. And it still sells, people still wear it, it's still very popular. Anytime a new flanker of 1 Million comes out, people get excited. So I could see 1 Million being in this list over at least half the other fragrances here, if not more than half actually. But that one is gonna be the final fragrance according to our AI friend this round for the top 10 greatest men's fragrances of all time. So there we go. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know how you think it did. And let me know some of the fragrances that you think were the biggest glaring outliers, the fragrances that were left out. Thank you all for hanging with me. Stay safe out there. See you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you later.